I was born in 1971, in a small village nestled in the hills of northern England. My name is Emily Carter. My life wasn't the kind that makes it into books or history lessons, but it was one that could be quietly felt, like a warm current beneath the surface, always moving forward, always fighting. My parents were farmers. We owned a modest plot of land where we grew barley and kept a few cows and hens. I was the second of 5 children. Life was modest, sometimes peaceful, often hard. My mother woke before dawn to cook on an old wood stove, her hands always smelling of herbs and dough. My father rarely spoke. He believed in discipline, hard work, and duty. Emotions were luxuries we couldn't afford. I learned early on that being a girl meant understanding unspoken rules. I had to help in the kitchen, take care of my younger siblings, and one day, marry a man chosen for me. But even then I had questions. I was curious, eager, restless. I read everything I could get my hands on and often found myself daydreaming about becoming a teacher, standing at the front of a classroom with chalk in my hand. 12, I was top of my class. My teacher, Mrs. Dawson, once pulled me aside and said, "Emily, promise me something. Promise me you'll never let anyone dim your mind." I nodded, but deep inside I feared life might not let me keep that promise. At 14, my education came to a sudden stop. One evening, my father quietly announced that I was to be engaged to Thomas Brooks, a shopkeeper 8 years older than me. He lived 2 towns away and had seen me once at a village fair. He had money. That was all that mattered to my father. I had no say. We married that spring. Thomas wasn't violent. Not in the obvious sense. But he had a way of making me feel invisible, like I was something he owned, not someone he loved. He didn't allow me to work, to visit my parents often, or to read too much. He said women who read too much got confused and difficult. His words didn't bruise my skin, but they bruised something deeper. Something in my spirit. By 24, I had 3 children. They became my world. Especially my youngest daughter, Sarah. When I held her in my arms for the first time, I whispered, "You'll go further than I ever could." I didn't know how, only that I had to try. Late at night, when the house was asleep, I'd take out an old dictionary and teach myself new words. I used my children's school books to learn math again. I kept a notebook under the floorboard and would write down anything I learned that day. It was my way of holding on to myself. When Thomas became ill, liver failure, they said, he grew weaker and more irritable. But he needed me. He died at age 47. I was 39. His death was not a tragedy for me. It was a strange, quiet beginning. With the small inheritance he left behind, I moved back to my childhood village with my children. My father had passed and my mother, though older and slower, took us in without judgment. In that quiet village, surrounded by fields I once played in, I started over. I noticed something. Many women in the village couldn't read. Some couldn't even write their own names. So I invited a few neighbors over for tea and slowly started a small reading group. I called it a tea circle, to make it sound innocent. But we studied. We read short stories, learned the alphabet, practiced writing letters and names. The women came quietly, often with their babies on their backs or toddlers at their side. Some were nervous at first. But when one of them read an entire paragraph aloud for the first time, we all clapped and cried. Word spread. Soon I had 20, then 30 women attending regularly. A small charity in the city donated books, pencils, and even a chalkboard. I turned a spare room in our cottage into a learning space. Then the children started coming. Girls whose parents couldn't afford proper schooling. I made space for them too. My daughter Sarah? She grew into the most determined, fiery young woman I had ever known. She earned a scholarship and left for London to study law. On the day she left, she hugged me and whispered, "Mom, everything I am is because you didn't give up." Now I'm 54. I've never remarried. I live in a modest home surrounded by wildflowers and bookshelves. But I've taught over 300 girls and women how to read. Some now run their own small businesses. Some became teachers. Some simply write their own names with pride. There's no statue with my name on it. But when I walk through the village, people smile and say, "Hello, Miss Emily." And that to me is more than enough. I have learned that quiet strength can be louder than any shout. That freedom begins with a single page. And that teaching someone to read, to truly read, is giving them the world. I was once a girl with no voice. Now I help girls find theirs.